A large problem with the comic book industry and sci-fi industry and fantasy industry, in fact, all of Hollywood and everything else out there right now, is modernism. Modernism causes problems for heroes where they simply can't be heroic anymore. When you have feminism involved, the woman cannot be saved. She has to save herself, so it invalidates the hero. When you have diversity involved, it has to be a demographic-based thing more than it has to be anything else. So the white male always has to look bad, and it hurts the heroes. And so you have this whole problem where it just doesn't really work out. Add to that this like strange morality that, of course, they put into comic books and the like, where the only moral I actually uphold is I cannot kill anyone, regardless of the circumstances. It becomes a really weird sort of thing, and that's where we're at these days. Add on top of that nihilism. Oh my gosh. And that is a big, big cluster. So how do we fix this, and what is the main problem? Well, novelist Hilary Lane blasts modern writers about this. This is worth covering and talking about real quick here as we get into, of course, the news of the day as it relates to modern film and the like, including James Gunn's Superman. So please hit the like and subscribe button and join us here as we talk about all things science fiction and fantasy and more. Thanks for being here, guys. This is your Real Fantasy News. My name's John Delarose. I am a science fiction and fantasy writer myself. You join my newsletter, you sign up, you get 3 free books just for doing so, guys. And that way you stay in touch with me, which I really, really appreciate everybody who does. So you get a sci-fi novel, a fantasy novel, and a full graphic novel, including my superhero epic, Flying Sparks, which you can see how I write heroism. And, of course, I'm trying to bring back that classic sense of morality that heroes have. I think you'll really, really enjoy it if you like classic books, and I'm glad you're here. Sign up, guys. Get this in the description below. If you want to grab some books and support the channel, too, we've got our web store and Amazon to make it easy for you. Thanks for reading, everybody. This is where it's at, and stay in touch. This is really the place to do so. All right. So novelist Hilary Lane recently put up her contemporaries on blast for ruining heroes because they fundamentally lack an understanding of heroism, virtue, and morality. She uploaded a video to her channel. The second story, Lane deals with the current stories that have 3 major problems. 1, a writer assumes that the hero cannot have significant flaws, especially moral flaws, nor can they have a different moral opinion or be morally inferior themselves, the writer, or any other good character in the story. Number 2, heroes are not permitted to develop in terms of moral character, but must being and end with the same overall characteristics, especially morality. And 3, heroes must necessarily represent the writer's moral opinion about the real world, regardless about what is occurring within the world of the story. Yeah, this is classic amateur writing right here, and unfortunately, a lot of amateur writing's really gotten to the point where it's usurped professional writing all the way around. Now, I think overall, that as far as the flaws go, this is number 1 point. I think that a lot of the heroes have been given too many flaws, and they're pushing that agenda more so that you don't think of heroes as heroes anymore, that you don't really have anything aspirational to build up to. That's something that's actually the opposite in culture that I'm seeing. As far as not being allowed to develop, that's actually the case, and this is really the case with New York publishing. There was one book that got canceled very badly, and the hero of the story started out in a bad spot, and it was a female-led book, and the female-led book where she started out very prejudiced against people for no reason and was just rude to them and awful to them. And she realized they were good people and then actually decided to help them towards the end. Well, a bunch of reviewers went out and canceled this book, like really hard, almost got this person's career destroyed just because they didn't like the fact that the hero was redeemed. And not having redemption is really crazy. It means you don't have any real values whatsoever. That is the tenet of Christianity, is that we've all failed and, of course, not lived up to the glory of God, and therefore we do need redemption, and therefore we can get it, and it is achievable. To a lot of people in this like little blue sky cancel culture in the publishing world, and everybody in New York publishing is in that world, they don't believe in redemption. They don't believe in change. They don't believe in anything else. If you said one bad thing one time about this or that they don't agree with, you're canceled forever. That mean tweet you made back in 2013, you will never work again. And with that, they can't tell good stories of that. So I agree with this point right here. That's happening a lot within the culture. And of course, the writer's own moral opinion and, of course, shoehorning of identity politics and everything is a big, big problem right now, this third one. And it's very, very difficult to read. You can't even read a fantasy story anymore because it's just like, I tried to read one of the Nebula Award nominees from the Science Fiction Writers of America this year, and it looked like a cool cover, looked like a cool premise. As somebody who like spoke with the dead in investigations and stuff like that, it's nothing new, but the world looked pretty cool, and so I checked it out, and it immediately delved into this like weird like is this girl flirting with me and I'm a girl? Oh my gosh. And it's like, why are you talking like a modern day SJW in this like fantasy world? It didn't make any sense, and that just like it throws you out of the book every single time. There's so much of that going on, again, because it's the same blue sky culture going on in New York publishing. So she observes, like it or not, the fictional representations of heroism, virtue, and morality in the media is necessarily reliant on the writer's understanding of heroism, virtue, and morality. These days, very few people, never mind writers, really understand these things. Yeah, they've killed reading, they've killed philosophy on any deep level. And even if they do, most writers could, to some degree, be considered moral individuals. That doesn't mean they will understand the immense moral complexities that they attempt to write for their characters. So it follows that the characters will have inevitably less and less moral realism, resulting in less and less compelling, interesting heroes. The writers who find themselves unable or unwilling to navigate the complex moral landscape in which they've placed their heroes will find that it is difficult to understand, and therefore to write how a hero who does some bad things or does some serious flaws is still a hero. This can't be reconciled with more commonly popular and excessively simplistic understanding of morality today. I think she misses the mark a little bit here again. I think they push things into too flawed of protagonists, as I said. I guess that does take them out of the hero realm. And when they do that does make the character not a hero in these stories very often. Otherwise, they're not allowed to have flaws. It's like a binary sort of thinking kind of thing, rather than having like a really nice character who like has the ability to do something and has the ability to change and the like. Very interesting on that level. So she talked about The Patriot, First Blood, and Attack on Titans as a good example of course, well-written heroes these days compared to contemporaries out there. And then it also goes, this is closely related to characters who are self-inserts. This is a big problem I see in writing, especially in mainstream science fiction, fantasy, and comics. The danger of putting yourself into your hero is you'll be less inclined to give that hero flaws, therefore a development arc that you will be extremely sensitive to the criticism. Very interesting on that level. Then they talk about the Punisher, which is very interesting because the Punisher is a character that Marvel does not understand whatsoever. They don't understand why people even conceive of the Punisher as a hero. And of course, they can't go back to the 90s when the character was written very well as a hero because they don't like the politics involved there. So you see guys like Brian Mills and Frank Castle are real heroes in the tradition of Beowulf, Odysseus, and even King Arthur. We as a society miss that. Such a bizarre conflation of laws and morals didn't exist. So you could have a story of brutal, ruthless heroes who were deemed 100% heroic within the environment of the story, and clearly also by the author, and also the author understood the laws evolve and change are subject to corruption. But morality is straightforward, objective truth. Nowadays, you get a guy who's a vigilante, but literally can't even bring himself to kill child traffickers, and somehow he's the anti-hero in the story. Sorry, I don't buy it, and that's a big problem with the way they write things these days. She also, of course, going on Tolkien, says this, probably every writer making a secondary world fantasy or every sub-creator wishes to some measure to be a real maker, hopes he is drawing on reality, or hopes the peculiar quality of his secondary world, if not all the details are derived from reality or flowing into it. If indeed he achieves a quality that can be fairly described as a dictionary definition of inner consistency of reality, it is difficult to conceive how this can be if the work does not in some way partake of reality. The peculiar quality of joy in the successful fantasy can be explained as a sudden glimpse of underlying reality or truth. Pretty interesting stuff right there as we talk about what's going on with heroism and culture. And I do see a problem that James Gunn's superhero, of course, is having some feminist tropes involved with it. You see the guy crying in the Superman movie. It's ridiculous. Like you got Doctor Who crying. They seem to be trying to emasculate heroes rather than let the heroes actually be the masculine hero that is needed for today's culture. And this is a problem with Superman. It's a problem with Doctor Who. We're going to find this out with Fantastic Four next week as well when it comes out. There's going to be a very similar emasculation, moving Sue Storm to the leader of the superhero team. And when you have that kind of thing, you can't have a good male hero, and they don't understand how to write that, of course. So interesting analysis right here. What do you guys think about this? Do you think this Hillary Lane is on the mark here? Do you like my analysis? Love to hear from you. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you do enjoy my thoughts on storytelling and the like, I hope you'll sign up for my newsletter, get my 3 free books, and sign up and join us, guys. I'm going to have the coolest trilogy coming out. You want to talk about some real heroes that build some things up in a science fiction context. It's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to bring this to you. So get in on here. Don't lose contact with me. Thanks for being here, and we'll be back soon.